Hi, everybody. This is Sherneice Gatewood-Alli, and I am with my look. This woman right here, she's not just a guest. She pretty much is family because she been a couple of years back. She did something on rape prevention, and it was a 3-day thing that we did. So that was super awesome. Thank you again for doing that. I hope people was able to get something out of it. So let me introduce our family, not guests, family.
Absolutely.
Everybody out there in Facebook worlds, all around the world, because this will be chopped up and go on my TikTok. I would like to introduce Miss Tj Vida. She is a mother, she's an epilepsy warrior, and a powerful advocate for her organization, which you see in the back, Seize the Course. I would love to have Ms. Vida to explain to us what is Seize the Course and what it's for, what are we talking about, epilepsy, the awareness, her event. We're going to get into forgiveness. As you see, everybody see that I've been doing something on forgiveness. So that's going to be discussed today. And let's take it from there. Who are you, ma'am?
Who am I? I ask myself that every day. Or what role am I playing today? Or what hat am I going to wear in the next hour? But you said it. My name is Tara.
Mhm.
Tara Gibson, aka Tj Vida, which is my stage name. I am a recording artist. I sing R&B and pop.
Mhm.
Trying to implement a little freestyle in there. I'm still trying to find the right producer that can actually make a beat for freestyle. Um, And I am a mother. I'm a proud mother. My son is 22 years old, and my daughter is going to be 15. yeah, yeah, yeah. She's a good girl, though. She's a blessing. So my son is too, but it's always different. Your kids are always different personalities, and I got the best of both worlds. I got the boy and the girl. So, um, I also work in medical, and I have my degree in my master's degree in forensic psychology. I will be going back to continue forth my doctorate degree in forensic psychology as well after this event. I'm not even going to do it to myself right now. Um, but Seize the Cure, just to give a brief, history on it. I started Seize the Cure in 2017, which was only intended to be a one-time event where I collaborated the relationship between music and the cause of epilepsy. My son at that time was recently diagnosed with epilepsy, and his seizures went from absent seizures, which is more the seizures that you don't see happening. The person may freeze and not respond to you. I like to describe it as the person is unconscious, but they're standing and their eyes are open. So there's nothing going on in the brain at that time. It's actual seizure happening without their body responding. Um, his seizures quickly escalated to convulsions, which is where all the horrible experiences came from in advocating for what he needed on a number of different dimensions: education, transportation, healthcare, dealing with the politics involved in all these things, and also just keeping him safe overall without hurting myself, because I've gotten hurt a number of times, seriously hurt, trying to manage him during a convulsion. My son is now 6'1". At that time, he was 6 foot. Yeah, he's a tall guy. And on top of that, he was about at one point, he was like a football player. And when someone convulses, their body locks and the forceful jerks are very, very aggressive, and they're triple their weight. So there's so many times that I could tell you that in an attempt to protect him, I had to put myself in the fire, so to speak. So all these years of dealing with him growing, his body changing, and his epilepsy changing, because epilepsy is an ever changing condition. Not only is it life threatening, it's life changing. And it kind of goes in accordance to how your body is changing too. So you may find that someone with epilepsy may have one type of seizure for a certain amount of time, and it may change later on down the line, or they may alternate. They may have more than one type of seizure at one time. They may go seizure free for a number of years. It doesn't mean that they're cured. It just means that their seizures are in remission, so to speak. I've met a number of people where their seizures returned after 10 years. So
Wow.
when I did that event in 2017, I was in the beginning phases of having a child with epilepsy and not really knowing what to expect. And I did not know what came with this. I have epilepsy myself. So I knew when he was having symptoms, I knew enough to take him to a neurologist because of my own experience and what my parents had to deal with me. Most parents don't know to take their child to a neurologist. They're just, the schools are taking over, evaluating them and diagnosing them. So I took him to a neurologist and he was immediately diagnosed with epilepsy. Um, Obviously, we're in 2025 and I'm going on my 10th event. And in those years, everything I've been through as a mother, it has really helped me evaluate what I want to see more of at my events or introduce new in my events. Because the whole mission for me as a mother, as someone who has dealt with this. Now, my epilepsy, I like to call it my epilepsy, like I owned it. I haven't had a convulsion in many, many years, thankfully. Um, I know that my convulsions can come back anytime. I know if
Mhm.
I get stressed along with a lack of sleep, or if I'm going through trauma, that's a definite gonna happen. It's definitely gonna happen.
Mhm.
But the absence seizures are always there. I recently had an EEG and I'm having a lot of seizure activity, and I'm still learning the healthcare out here in Florida. It's very different and special. So I'm looking for a neurologist. I've been looking for a neurologist since I moved here.
Okay.
Let that be the indicator of why my sarcasm of what I
Mm.
said. I'm learning
Mhm.
Florida healthcare. But I will say that when it's your child's,
Mhm.
it hits completely different. So Caesar Cure has become my full-time passion and job. You know, I have a job that I clock in and clock out. But when it comes to Caesar Cure, it's grown so much. And when I say grown, I don't mean that we don't make any money off of this. By the grace of God and the wonderful people that from the beginning have helped support the events by offering their services for free. Everything from DJs to the photographer
Help
to
them out.
food
Mhm.
and donations. Never charge me anything. It was whatever you want, Vita, we got you. Let's make this happen. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be able to have done this all these years. The Epilepsy Foundation of Metropolitan New York is my mentor and sponsor, my biggest support. And he's been the director has been since I started. And he came out to my first event just off of a phone call where I just said, I know you don't know me. I know you have no reason to even invest any time or your ear into what I'm about to say, because I'm just a random mother from the Bronx and my kid got epilepsy and I need some help. I want to put my music and collaborate this. He says, okay, I'll come out. When is it? After that, it just took off.
That's
Last
good.
mm-hmm.
That's good. I mean, to get community support is also a great thing, right? And we definitely appreciate, I'm a nonprofit as well, and we definitely appreciate all support from the community. It doesn't necessarily have to be from your community, the Bronx, so it could be all around because epilepsy, I don't think I have seen anyone besides you have done epilepsy events.
Yeah.
And that means a lot. That means more and more people um, need to come out and support Seize the Cure epilepsy awareness because you're not ashamed to talk about it. I didn't even know that you had it. I know your son had it, but now it's like, okay, you see that there's an organization that's out there doing it. Come out and support this beautiful cause. So go ahead. Tell me about 2020 when you appointed a representative. Like, let's talk about that. What 2020 looked like when you was doing your event.
Oh, that's the most interesting experience and spiritual experience, because this is kind of the between 2020 and 22, I had my experience with God working things in my favor without me even knowing. So 2020, I had met a young lady, and she was the director for an after school program in a school. And I presented Caesar Cure to do a presentation for her parents. She loved it. She's never heard of epilepsy. She never even knew what seizures were. So she said, you know what? I like what you have to say. I think, we could really, our parents could benefit from this. I was keeping the presentation more along the lines of getting your children checked rather than letting the Department of Education take over and diagnosing. So we had an event planned for 2020, March 18th, and had performers ready to go. Everything was ready. And then COVID hit. So the week of the event, the schools closed. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, no big deal. We'll reschedule it. The schools are going to open probably next week or 2 weeks. Well, no, that didn't happen, as we all know. So I ended up going through a very traumatic experience in my life that I had to make decisions. And I picked up at the end of 2020 and moved to Florida, left all my furniture, left everything behind. And I came out here to make a better life. So in the 6 months that I lived here, the Epilepsy Foundation reached out to me and asked me if I would do a presentation for a big company that, wants to support epilepsy awareness. And I said, I didn't understand why. I didn't understand what came with this presentation. I just said, okay, sure. And I did the presentation. A few months later from that, I get a call that I missed. And when I'm checking my voicemail, when I finally figured out how to check my voicemail, um, I there was a message from this same woman that was the director from the after school program. And she was crying and said, I don't know where you are. I would like to talk to you. I believe God brought you into my life for a reason. And I realize now what it is. My son is very sick and his seizures are out of control. He was diagnosed with epilepsy.
Oh,
Um,
stop right there. What?
yeah.
Wow.
So a week after me speaking with her, getting the information to support her and be her support, I had no intention of doing anything with Seize the Cure. I was going through my personal changes that I was going through. I was angry. I just didn't show it. I was going through a real tough time emotionally that I was just like, screw everything. I'm not doing anything. But when I heard that message, I had to talk to her. And my only intent at that point was to just give her support as a mother, as a woman. She's a woman like me that wears a bunch of different hats and has different roles, but we forget who we are. And dealing with a child that's sick, it's you have no identity at that point. So I help support her. And now 2 weeks from that, I get a call that there were a number of presentations given to this particular organization, and they chose Seize the Cure for epilepsy to represent the Bronx. And they wanted to know if I would commit to doing 2 to 3 events slash programs a year in the Bronx to represent epilepsy awareness. And I said, why? I really couldn't understand why they chose me. And what did it was, I have, my belief is, if I have a room of 500 people at an event and only one person was able to learn something and I was able to reach one person, I did my job. So I guess, not that I guess, I was told that was the winner for this.
Mm.
And I accepted.
Congratulations. Yeah.
Thank you. I accepted. And that's where the first event at for Seizure Cure as a non-for-profit was last year. And it was supposed to be in March, but it ended up being April 20th. There was no particular reason I chose April 20th. It just, I get people ask me that question all the time. Um, that was the first event where I had major sponsors. And the event cost a lot, but it was covered. I was fundraising. Every event is fundraising, so I can continue doing the programs that I am doing and would want to do. I was just in the Bronx in March for a week doing presentations in different community centers and businesses and organizations, spreading epilepsy awareness. But more importantly, what I've now incorporated into Seizure Cure is not only epilepsy awareness, but also seizure safety awareness. I
Mm.
feel that is way, I don't want to say more important, but it's vital because epilepsy has to do with seizures, yes, but there is an epidemic of a lack of awareness in our community about seizures, including in our schools and in our law
Mm-hmm.
enforcement. And seizures, you do not have to have epilepsy to have seizures. Seizures are more and more common now with any kind of medication changes, drug use and alcohol, drug withdrawal and alcohol withdrawal, medications from other illnesses that you're taking can cause
Mm-hmm.
seizures, pregnancy, high fevers. I mean, the list goes on and on to the triggers of seizures,
Mm-hmm.
but aren't from epilepsy. And I feel that that is so crucial because there are people that are still walking around thinking to stick a spoon in someone's mouth when they're having a seizure.
Yes. Yeah. And it's funny you said that because as you talking about that, my mom, years ago, we was in a office building and somebody had fell out and had a seizure. And I remember my mom either had a card or got a spoon. And so that way the person won't bite their tongue.
Excuse me, I'm
But
sorry.
mhm, to bite their tongue. So with that being said, is like I thought that was the way myself.
Mhm.
I thought that was the way myself by putting a spoon or a card so they won't bite their tongue. So if
Right.
I know we get off of the questions, but this is another question. What do you do in that situation when somebody is having a seizure?
Well, this is actually a topic that's going to be discussed at the event June
Okay.
28th.
Okay.
But I can tell you, I can and will tell you, you don't put anything in anyone's mouth. It's best to
Mm-hmm.
turn them to their side,
Side. Okay.
preferably the left. But if you can't get the left, it can be whatever side you're able to get the person on because it's very hard to handle someone having a seizure. I'm
Mm-hmm.
sorry, this phone is really annoying me, and it's a spam call.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so you turn them to the side, and the purpose
Mm-hmm.
of that is you want to make sure their mouth is open so that any saliva or vomit is able to exit the mouth.
Right. Okay.
So, and of course, protect their head from any injury. Most of the time, when my son had his seizures, I put my head, I put my leg under his head
Okay.
to make sure that he's able to not hit his head on the floor.
Right.
Now, in some situations, you can't do that because,
Mm-hmm.
for example, he had to have his arm, his shoulder, he had to have surgery because he had 4 dislocations, and
Wow.
majority of those dislocations were from him having a seizure, especially in the car when he's on the
Mm.
passenger side and he's seizing and he's hitting his shoulder
Mm-hmm.
on the window.
Mm-hmm.
So in that situation, you really can't do anything except just pull the car, pull over to the side and
Mm-hmm.
make sure that,
Mm-hmm.
try to get some kind of cushion between the head and the door.
Mm-hmm.
But aside from that, it's very important. Put them to the side and make sure that their mouth is open so foam or vomit will come out because that's usually they will vomit or foam at the mouth. A lot of
Got
saliva,
it.
excessive saliva.
Mm-hmm. So I want everybody to hear this, right? And you will hear and get more information When is your event again? Because we're going to continue to keep talking about the
Yes.
date.
The event is Saturday, June 28th at the
Okay.
Sonia Sotomayor Community Center in the Bronx. That's the
Mm-hmm.
Soundview Bronxdale section of the Bronx, and it's
Mm-hmm.
1000 Rosedale Avenue, Bronx
Mm-hmm.
10472. We're going to start at 1. It's going to be from 1 to 6, but it's a full 5 hours of entertainment, testimonial speakers, guest speakers. We're going to have raffles. We're going to have media outlets doing full coverage, and we're also going to have vendors. So
Mm-hmm.
it's, come out. It's free to come. It's
Mm-hmm.
that all it costs is your support. That's really it. We're gonna have
That's
some
it.
food,
Mm-hmm.
and I have major sponsors. We're gonna have the sponsors will be in the building. We're gonna have Community Board 9, DYCD, and Cornerstone, Phipps Neighborhoods, UCB, the Epilepsy Foundation of Metropolitan New York, Jazz Pharmaceuticals, SK Life Science, Catalyst, Montefiore, Columbia Presbyterian, and We Are Phenomenal Woman will
That
be
is
there.
us.
And Catalyst and Neurelis as well. So I have 2 doctors speaking, one from
Mm,
Montefiore, who's
mhm,
a pediatric neurologist, Dr. Duberstein, and then we have Dr. Pack from Columbia Presbyterian, who will also be speaking. And we also have an EMT that's going to be coming out to speak on what to do when someone has a seizure, during the seizure,
mhm.
as well as after the seizure.
Awesome. Okay, so please, everybody, we're not done with our interview, but I
No.
wanted her to slip that in there while we got some people attention. We're going to slip it again, slip in there
Mhm.
again, so we could continue to promote this awesome event. So I want to ask you, what are the misconceptions that people had about epilepsy that strive you to continue and correct through your workshops and support groups?
Um, One misconception is that people with epilepsy are that it's a psychiatric condition. There's a stigma behind epilepsy, and it goes way back. It goes way back into history, where when seizures were first recognized, they believed it was the person was being possessed by the devil. That was where the original belief of what it was came from. And then when the world of psychology started to come into play, then it became, someone who was having seizures was schizophrenic. Schizophrenia, because of the delusions and the hallucinations, was believed to be in connection with seizures. But again, they did not know it was seizures. It wasn't until recent, and when I say recent, I don't remember the exact year, but we're talking maybe a few generations before us, just a few, that it was recognized as a neurological condition, meaning it can be seen on testing. It's not a theory. Psychology is a theory. Someone could be going through mental health issues, and they can't place you under a scan and see what the mental health issue you're having is. They can't see the proof in that. It's all theory. But with seizures, you can see it on EEGs, MRIs, CAT scans. It's a medical diagnosis that there is proof behind the diagnostic imaging. So that's one perception. And then the other one is what to do when having a seizure and what happens after the seizure, which is something that no one ever talks about. There is a post-seizure transition of safety that has to take place. And the last thing I will say is that has me inspired to do this, that people don't realize, is that there are over 40 different seizures. And
I
some
didn't
of these,
know.
yes, and some of these seizures may look more like a behavioral issue or response. It
Mm,
may look like the person is being violent or being, what is the word I'm looking for? The person may seem like they're being aggressive, and it's not aggression that you're looking at, it's actually a seizure, and it's just
Mhm.
coming out in the form of their behavior.
Mhm.
And when we have things like law enforcement that have to deal with the community and have to respond to emergency situations, they need to know what they're looking at so they can know how to
Absolutely.
respond the right way.
Absolutely. I agree.
Our children, if teachers don't know what they're looking at, like I said before, we don't want Department of Education. And if anybody here works for Department of Education, I'm not downing anyone,
Not at
because if
all.
you don't know, you don't know.
Right.
So
Mhm.
I know I didn't know
Mhm.
until this started affecting my life, and I had to learn what I needed to know. But you don't want Department of Education
Telling
labeling your
you.
child, telling
Mhm.
you how to medicate your child off of something
Mhm.
that wasn't even thoroughly checked on a medical aspect and a clinical aspect. So that's, I'm learning more and more about how serious seizures are. Forget
Mhm.
epilepsy, seizures. There was a case recently where a woman was tased during a confrontation with law enforcement because they thought that she was responding
Res-
to them aggressively and running towards them to hurt them,
Mhm.
but she was having a seizure and she is a diagnosed epileptic, and they tased her. And what do you think that did?
Made it
It made
worse.
the seizures come out even more and continue.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
So and that's just one that I've heard. Every time someone, it's funny because every time someone hears of a story or a case, they will send it to me. And I love that because recently it was someone that I didn't even think was watching what I was doing. I'm like, well, you haven't
Mhm.
responded or come to an event or donate or nothing. So I didn't even know you knew I existed. But
Mhm.
they saw the story and they sent it to me so I could know. And I look into stuff like that because it's important to know what's out there. It's important for parents to know or caregivers to know what's out there so you can try to take care of your child
Mhm.
and try to have a normal life, which is damn near impossible.
Yeah, because you don't
But
know when it's gonna happen. It just
you don't
happens, right?
you don't know when it's
Yeah.
going to happen. So naturally, work becomes an issue,
Yeah.
especially if you're working for a boss. You have
Mhm.
a boss that they're watching how often you're at work. Work
Mhm.
becomes an issue. Your own health becomes back burner, and just to get what you need for your child, it's a transition. It's a transition, and
Absolutely.
it's a process for everything.
Well, with the job part, I just want to say that's why we have HR. This is why we have this thing called FMLA, and majority of the time, human resources will protect you, and FMLA will protect their workers. But if you go into your boss, because I just had to tell somebody about this who dealt with domestic violence, don't even tell your boss, tell HR. Because if you need to be out for a situation that's happening with you pertaining to domestic violence, by the way, like I said before, I'm Sherneice Gatewood. I have a nonprofit by the name of We Are Phenomenal Women. We go out in the community and we talk about domestic violence. We also give safety tools and information, right? We're very much educational about what is domestic violence and intimate partner violence and bullying. So I just dropped that mic. But I just had to tell somebody about that too. So I just want other people to hear us and understand that, yes, your average boss is looking at you like, why you not here? Right? But then if you got HR, use them, talk to them, tell them what's going on. Sign up to the FMLA. If they have it, I don't know. But when I was working at a certain job, we had FMLA, and I need to use it for for something that was going on in my life, and that saved me. You might not get paid, but at least you know that your son or your daughter or yourself is okay. Um, but I do want to ask you
Yes.
because I see my girl over there. She looking tired. She got this big event happening, and I want to
Well,
know
we know.
how do you right? Balance, self-care, advocacy, motherhood. You might not see, I know you don't know that I'm on your page and I see your baby girl. She's in piano. I think she was doing something with the flute one time or something like that.
Girl does everything.
Everything, right? So, but how do you balance all this? What do you do for yourself? It's very important.
A very important question, and it's sadly I don't know how. I've been asked this. It's gotten so bad that I don't even know how to relax my brain. And I'm starting to try to have some kind of, personal life. I'm starting to, to have the connection, companionship, and get away from, every so often just getting away from home and having a little minication, so to speak, like for 2 days here and there. Um, but I don't know. I don't know how. I don't even think I would know how to effectively balance the way I want to, because there's so much that depends on me. And I've had people ask me, "You have so much already on your plate. Why are you doing this event?" And I'm like, "Because I know it's needed." And I made a decision to do this under God's guidance. You know, he placed these opportunities in my face, not for me to say, well, I feel it would be selfish for me to go through everything I go through as a mother with dealing with epilepsy and the seizures. It would be selfish for me to go through all this and be the advocate that I am for my son and not share that information for another family who doesn't know what to expect. Because I'd be honest with you, if I would have been told what to expect, it would have made a world of difference. I believe preparedness creates awareness, and awareness creates preparedness. They kind of coincide. So if when he was diagnosed, if I would have been told, they can turn to convulsions, this is what you do to your house to safeguard it. When he starts having convulsions, this is the things that you can try. This is the diet you can try. This is what this is what to keep him safe from. Don't let him do A, B, C, D, E, F, G. If I would have known all these things, I would have been better prepared in how to deal with them. And I've went so long outside of him having epilepsy. I've always been the type of person that I've always backburnered myself. Always. I didn't know how to say no. I didn't know how to say, you know what, I don't want to. I always felt like I had to give a reason or an excuse to why I couldn't do something rather than just say, you know what, I don't want to.
Yeah. Yeah, I was watching Taraji yesterday, and she was talking about how it's very important to say no and mean no, right? Because sometimes we would say no and then feel bad and then call the person and say, okay, I would do it. But meanwhile, by you doing that, it's like, did I really want to do it for me or for them to be a people pleaser? So I want to say back with the self-care, I'm a firm believer to step away from something and then come back. We people somebody called me just recently and said that somebody gave them my information, or we are phenomenal woman information, because they know I'm doing the work, right? I feel like I'm not doing enough of the work, but I already, if you punch me, Google, as they say, Google me, you see that the work has been getting done, it has been done, and I learned how to separate myself and just take a musa time for me. You also was going to school. I'm a firm believer, sit back and just meditate. For those who meditate, take the time out to meditate and just get back into you, um, Because if you're doing all this work and you're doing it for a great reason, your son, people in the community all over the world will see what you're doing. But it won't be no TJ Vida. It won't be Miss Tara if you ain't here.
Right.
So I really want you, because I see you. I really want you to Musa. Take some time and just breathe. So after this event, if you and I need to just and I could get up more people because it's so many of us that is going through the same thing. We got so many people in the Harlem community that's the older people that I respect. They are sick
Right.
now because they're just going, 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 going. I have asthma. I can't just go, 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 go. I'm gonna catch an asthma attack.
Hmm.
So with that, I learned how to step away and say, I can't do this right now. If we need to form a Zoom meeting so we could just musa and we could just meditate with the music, I love that. And put the music on. And we need to just have a woman's day trip, like I told you before. If we need to do that, we have to do that because we can't handle it all. We can't. And not to mention cook, clean, flyers, banners, calling this person, emailing this person, my daughter, my son, by
Yeah.
myself. Whew. I want you to relax. I need you to do that. Because next thing you know, and I'm not gonna say no other extra words because I don't want nothing to happen. But I want you to slow down just for a little minute and just do something for yourself. Even if you take yourself out on a date, eat some good or whatever it is that like you like, do something for you. And that's it.
I have started the past, I would say, year, maybe a little
Hmm.
less than a year. I started waking up, and the first thing I do is pray.
Amen.
And it's so strong because it has saved me and a few people.
Hmm.
The fact that
Hmm.
I've gotten in the mental state of, I mean, if you get me when I haven't had Bustelo, I can't promise God is gonna save you because Bustelo got I love the Lord, but Bustelo got certain.
Yes.
I don't even think God could make a miracle with that one. But luckily, I make sure I have that in my house every morning, so I make sure I have it. Um, but all jokes aside, the prayer part is just so it's just
Hmm.
it's done so much for me.
Hmm. Hmm.
Anything, even while I'm at work, if somebody irritates me, I'll just pray, God, give me the strength.
Hmm. Hmm.
Maybe they're
Hmm.
going through something. I don't know. I try,
Hmm.
Even this morning, perfect example. I didn't pray this morning. I prayed, but I didn't watch my spiritual. I have a routine.
Hmm.
I'll pray and then I watch
Hmm.
my spiritual guidance show. I
Hmm.
didn't get to watch it this morning. And ironically, maybe 2 hours ago, I started feeling anxiety.
Hmm.
And I thought to myself, wait a minute, is this happening because I didn't do my spiritual inspiration show that I normally do? You know, but I'm starting to get in a pattern of once a week take a bath. I haven't really followed it yet, but once a week just take a bath with the wine
Hmm.
and the candle,
Hmm.
maybe, and then every month maybe just go out and do something. And I have been following. I have been going out. I have been going out for weekends at a time. um
Good.
Learning to have a life. I'm not
Yep.
going to have a personal life unless I'm able to say, you know what, my daughter's going to be 15. My son, he does have epilepsy, but he's doing well. And you know what? There's always people that I lean on that I'll work out with them. Listen, I'm going to go away. I'm going to be out for a few days. Um, Make sure, if there's any emergency, if there's any emergency, I just come back. But I have to learn to have a life.
Amen to that.
It's
It's
so true
true.
what you said. It's so
Hmm.
true.
Hmm.
Or you run yourself into a grave.
Mm. Yeah, definitely. So I just want to ask, I want to get into the forgiveness part. I see somebody want to get in, but I see someone want to get in, and I hope and pray that they understand why I have them in a waiting area, because when I have these interviews, I like to have the interview with just the person. Um, the person name is Curtis. So I don't know if it's somebody you
Okay,
know.
okay. Yeah, no, I told him, I sent him the link to log in. So that's
Okay.
probably him.
So would you like for me to bring him on?
Yeah, you can let him in.
Okay.
I didn't know that. I thought that there would be people inside, so that's
Okay.
fine.
So I want to get into the forgiveness piece. As you know, I've been doing a lot of conversation on forgiveness. And forgiveness to me, right, means choosing peace over pain. I'm older. Who Saturday I'll be 51.
God bless you. You don't look it.
Thank you. So, thank you so much. So, with that, I'm learning when something interrupt my peace, I have an issue with that. Okay. Once I learn what is peace, I want to keep that. I enjoy peace. I've been through too much pain in my life that I don't want to go through that anymore. Um, and it's not about forgetting or excusing what happens, right? I want to it's about freeing myself.
Right.
That's what forgiveness means to me. So I want to ask you, what does forgiveness mean to you?
I just recently started learning what forgiveness is.
Mm,
For a long time, I thought that if I forgave, I was pretty much allowing the person to have an open door to repeating the same behavior. So then I thought, I'm not going to forgive because what they did was unforgivable. And then the truth came where it comes with self reflection. And there was even a point that, if somebody's hurt you or has done really something really bad to you, or has just treated you really bad, and they, you want closure. It's like you want to know that they know what they did to you and how it affected you, and you want them to feel guilt. You want them to feel horrible. You want them to apologize. You want them to live with that guilt in them. And when they don't give you that closure, the anger gets even worse. And what happens is, you know how, anger is a process. You go through a process, especially with trauma. Trauma does not have to be violence. It does not have to be you losing someone. It could just be the trauma of someone who has taken control over you for a certain period of time, and you've fallen victim to their behavior and how they treat you and what they're doing to you. And what happens is, when you don't learn what forgiveness is, you end up hating yourself. So the anger turns from anger towards the person who hurt you, but it turns into anger towards yourself, which is the worst type of anger to have. Because what happens with that kind of anger is you start taking it out on the whole world. So I had to learn that forgiveness it's not done for the person. I actually posted something this morning. I do my spiritual words every day, from my prayers in the morning. And ironically, the message this morning that I got for the daily devotion had to do with forgiveness.
mm,
This is interesting how God works, because here you are saying, can we talk about forgiveness? And then the spiritual word this morning was about forgiveness. And it said, um, you forgive not because the other person deserves forgiveness, but because you deserve peace. So I've learned, I've been through some heavy
Mm-hmm.
things, in the past couple of years. As a matter of fact, more than a couple of years. It's just that I made the decision to exit it
Right.
um, a few years ago. But the pain from everything I've been through from all those years before I exited, it stayed with me.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned that moving your location, moving to doing something different, trying to start over, there's no escaping unless you deal with the pain
Yep.
that you were given. Now, I'll be honest with you, there was a time that um, I did not think that I thought running from it was going to help,
Mm-hmm.
and being distracted with everything that I do kind
Mm-hmm.
of is a surface of not dealing with the pain that I was dealing with. But what ended up happening was I said to myself, wait a minute, you haven't really reached forgiveness until you forgive the person that doesn't even feel sorry.
Mm.
See, that was the test. I did my own little testing
Mm.
a couple of times. And it made me think like, wait a minute. I forgive anyone who has done me wrong. I don't believe in karma, but I do believe in God's justice.
Mm-hmm.
And God took me through a lot because he knew in the end I was going to prevail from it.
Mm-hmm.
I lost myself. And once you lose yourself, and Sherneice, you of all people, because I respect so much of what you do because I know why you do it. You know
Mm-hmm.
exactly what I'm talking about. When you lose yourself
Mm.
and you learn to find yourself again,
Mm.
you're not going back to that.
You
And
ain't.
you know what did it for me? You know what really did it for me? I have a 14-year-old daughter, and
Mm-hmm.
she's looking at me
That's right.
as an example.
Yep.
And my son is looking at me as an example of how to
Mm-hmm.
treat a woman,
Mm-hmm.
how to treat his sister, how to treat the woman. And my daughter, I don't want her to ever look and think that she's going to tolerate something because mom did.
Yep.
So forgiveness for me is you got to forgive yourself first.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say it like that. You can't forgive anybody unless you forgive yourself. Because once you forgive yourself and you come to peace within yourself about where you went wrong, not saying that you deserved anything that you got,
Right.
but there are people that really messed up and are living with that guilt too.
Mm-hmm.
You got to let go of that because you're not going to grow until you let go of that. I'm not going to be able to have a meaningful relationship
Mm.
if I'm holding on to the burden of what somebody else did. And by the
Yep.
grace of God, I've never been in that situation where I'm thinking all men are the same,
Mm-hmm.
or all friendships fail because that friend did me dirty. I've never thought like that. I
Mm-hmm.
always believe if somebody made bad decisions or did things to abuse you or hurt you, they have a problem.
They have the problem. Mm-hmm.
That next man ain't the problem. But
Right.
if you're carrying that burden of not forgiving yourself, and it's going to follow you everywhere you go. It's going to follow you into your personal relationships. It's going to follow you into your friendships. It's going to follow you into your parenting.
Yep. That is so
So
true.
you got to forgive yourself. Forgiveness
Right.
starts with the self, and then it works its way outward.
Now, what I will say, because last week when I had the conversation on forgiveness with someone else, I did mention, yes, forgiving, forgive yourself, right? But I want people to understand that before you forgive yourself, acknowledge what it is that you're forgiving, right? For yourself. Acknowledge it, and then find your find a way to not put yourself back in that situation,
Right.
right? Because a lot of people feel like, I think I shared last week something pertaining to my mom, and I feel like I can, because you're my parent or family friends or close friend, I have to still come around you. I feel like, and you constantly keep doing the same thing. So, like we said,
Right.
sometimes people that hurt you is their stuff, not yours, right? So, since it's their mess, and I continue to put myself in your mess, that is now domestic violence to me. I've been through that. So I'm not going to put myself back because I forgave you. I'm going to put myself back into the same situation. And I already know, oh, in the next 6 months, this person's going to act up again. Why even continue to put myself in that type of situation? So acknowledge what it is that you're forgiving for you before you can forgive someone else, and understand that whatever that person is doing to you, it's something that they learn behaviors. I just read that today from my book. Somebody learned that from somewhere, right? And then I want to ask you also, like, in our community, I want to ask, what would it take for us, women and men, to open our hearts to forgive and just, for peace? Because our community is kind of screwed up. We
Mm.
don't want to forgive each other, or come and say, you know what, Vida, this is what you did to me. We will forgive other people, another race of people, before we forgive the person right next to us. Why is that, as Black and brown people in the community?
Got me with that question.
Is a true question. And let
It's
me
a
just
very
say,
true question.
if I hurt somebody, please come and tell me.
I was going to say communication
Yep.
is a big issue in our
Hmm.
community. I think, honestly, I think communication in general, past our community, is an issue. People
Hmm.
do not know how to effectively communicate, and they don't.
Hmm.
And part of communication is listening. And with listening, I don't mean using your ears to listen. I mean taking what you're hearing and acknowledge that, or just try to take into consideration what the person is saying. If you're not willing to listen, you're not going to effectively be able to communicate, because what happens is you're listening with your emotions and not with your head. And in our community, there's so many different cultures, and there's a cultures have a lot to do with it. In certain cultures, you're meant to be quiet. You're not supposed to speak. Our men are pretty much taught from an early age, not all, but a lot. Our men, our Black men, are taught to be quiet. They're not supposed to have emotions. They're not supposed to have feelings. And if they do, they're supposed to be quiet about it. And what ends up happening is it turns inward. And the poison that happens inside eventually is going to come out. And it'll come out in the form of, I'm not excusing anything when I say this. So please, anybody listening, do not take it like I'm excusing abuse, or I'm excusing drug use, or I'm excusing violence in the streets. I'm saying that especially our men, they need to be encouraged to speak. They need to be encouraged to let out their feelings in a productive way and not be looked at as weak because they have feelings. I'm one person. Let me tell you, tell me if I did something to make you upset, but at least be willing to hear that I did not intentionally try to make you upset. At least consider that maybe it's how you're seeing it and not anything that I did, but I'm sensitive enough to say, I want to hear what it is. Because anything could be worked out if you're able to communicate it. This phrase of boys will be boys, pretty much saying boys are expected to be rough, not have feelings, put hands. And what you're doing is you're pretty much saying that That's excusable. And they're going to grow into men and do that. And I know you said our community, you did say male and female, women and men. But I always feel like the men are, there's more expected of our men, especially our men of color. There's more expected, but there's less available to them. Sherneice, this is off topic, but it's on the topic. I have more male, I know more males who are single fathers than single mothers. Yeah, I saw your eyebrows raised. You're like, wait, what?
What? Yeah.
I
Mm-hmm.
really thought about this. And when I think of, single mothers, there's a lot available to us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're stressed. We have a lot on our plate. I get it, but we have a lot of support and resources given
Yep.
to us, offered to us. And not even if we're single moms, just in case you become a single mom, here's what's there for you.
Mm-hmm.
The single fathers that I know had to go through a fight through the system just to
Mm-hmm.
get just to get what they deserve for their child.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And it all goes down to the culture.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I feel is the problem. I think if we stop looking things from a cultural aspect and look at things from more of a humanistic aspect,
Mm-hmm.
a more of a moral aspect,
Mm-hmm.
it's about communicating, it's about compassion.
Stop shaming.
Stop shame. Exactly. Stop shame. Stop this shaming on Facebook and social media. I can't stand it. Every time I see violence being shared, or something of a perversion being shared, I mean, it drives me insane, because I really try to stay away from any of that. All this thing, if you're doing business with someone and it doesn't go well, stop the subbing and the negativity. Like, take it up with the person. All that energy you put into that post, you could have just reached out to the person and said, listen, I don't like that you did this. We either gonna discuss it
Mm-hmm.
and come to some kind of agreement, because we're all adults. That's what we should be able to do.
Mm-hmm.
But if you can't do that, then we can just go our separate ways respectfully.
Respectfully. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's why I said it, it's so deep with how do we forgive? How do we well the only way you really can forgive is to acknowledge that you yourself aren't perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think you deserve forgiveness for the crap that you did, but this next person doesn't deserve forgiveness?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I'm not talking about more serious situations. We got, child abuse and
Mm-hmm. Right. Things like that. No.
right.
Right.
I'm not talking about the people that are soulless out there, because they do exist.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to know the difference with that. Is this a person who is narcissistic? And
Mm-hmm.
that word, that's a
Mm-hmm.
strong word, which people are using real loosely these days. No, not everybody's narcissistic. Not
First, know
everybody
what
is
the
the
meaning means.
narcissist.
Know what it means. Know what it
Know what
means.
it means.
Okay.
Exactly. Know what it means, because
Mm-hmm.
there is a deep definition behind that. And it's not something that is commonly around, but it does exist. You have to know the difference. Is this person just genuinely making a mistake, or did something that they didn't mean to do, or they may have done it and they're really sorry. And
Mm-hmm.
then there's the other one that you stay clearly away from. You got to know the
Absolutely.
difference.
Yep. Yep. It's this is a very heavy topic, even when it come down to family,
Yeah.
um, and once again, I would say that I had a situation with a family member, and I loved her, I love her, that's my family, but her upbringing or the things that she does now, I don't care for. I stay away from it. But when you try to put me on blast on something that you're absolutely wrong on, because stay in the child's place in my head,
Right.
you know, um, I just can't rock with you, you know, and the first thing somebody, instead of them calling and say, hey, I'm sorry I did that or whatever it is, but you see me at a barbecue, hey, cousin, I'm still upset. I'm still upset because you did something that you didn't have no business doing. Um, and with that, I that's why I start having these conversations on forgiveness. I'm learning too. And you're right, when it comes down to our men, um, communication, and some of them don't know how to communicate. Some of them been through incarceration that, um, you always got to be so hard and so rough, so communication is so many different forms of communication. When I was in school, they taught us communication. We got nonverbal communication, so the way you sit, the way you, your face expressions and all that stuff. But I think it's time for us to start taking the wheel of what that is, and start, executing it so we could show people. Okay. Um, and that's it. But one organization we won't forget, okay, is yours. So please let us know once again, because I do want to say, and August, real fast, August, Ladies for Lavender, and We Are Phenomenal Women, which is me. Our organization will be collaborating, in Queens. We're going to have a baby shower for the fathers, because when you talk about the fathers, I brought up this flyer. We're going to have a baby shower and gifting day for our single fathers and formerly incarcerated fathers as well. We are looking for donations for, Pampers, wipes, all those things that the babies need, the fathers need for their babies. We are definitely in need of that stuff. So I will be talking about that more. But I want us to never forget none of these nonprofits that's actually doing the work, as in yours. And, let us know about your great event on Saturday again.
Well, first of all, before I say the event, I love that idea that you're doing.
Thank you.
The father's baby shower. Now, they have to have a newborn baby, like a baby, or can it, if they have like a older child, but they're still, like,
So the age group, I will get the ages, but this is something
okay.
that, I'm not going to take credit for. My sister in Queens, my purple sister in Queens, she's putting this together and she called me about it. And as Vida, as you know, hopefully as much as you have known me out of the years, anytime when there's a problem, I'm coming up with a solution. So when she, mentioned this, I was like, I would love to be a part. I want to, be able to donate or get donations. So what I will be donating is the kits for the baby oil, the Johnson and Johnson baby oil, the all the little packages, that
Yeah, yeah.
stuff. I will be donating. Um, I'm hoping we get more donations, so I'm going to be putting this on blast again. But once again, it's not. I don't want to outshine you, darling.
No, no,
Tell
no,
us
no.
about it.
I just want to commend you, like, you and your sister from Queens. That's a
Mm,
beautiful thing. Nobody, like I said, the men don't get acknowledged, and there's more single fathers than we think.
mm-hmm.
I was just curious. Well, we'll talk more about that.
Yes.
I want to help with that. I
Okay.
really want to help with that. But as far as the next Seize the Cure event, which is called Seize the Music Shake Epilepsy, it will be on Saturday, June 28th from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. Come at 1 because it's a full 5 hours of entertainment, raffles, vendors, media coverage. We're going to have food and we're going to have testimonial speakers. And we also have two doctors speaking, one from Montefiore and one from New York Presbyterian. You can donate Cash App. You can donate. It's $ Seize the Cure. That's SEIZETHECURE. And we also have Zelle, which is Seize the Cure as well, LLC. If anyone is interested in donating, it does not have to be just monetary. There's always ways to support. It's not just about the event that I'm doing in June. It's also about all the programs that I do throughout the Bronx on seizure safety awareness and epilepsy awareness. You can reach me via email as seizethecure4 Epilepsy, that's EPILEPSY at gmail.com. Or you can call my phone, 347-797-8938. Text first so I know what it's about. And let me know. We're still looking for, we're pretty much booked with performances and speakers, but we are looking for donations that are not just monetary. So if you have a business or an organization that you would like to be a part, I still have room for more tables. Reach out to me. Let's work.
There y'all have it. So we have this great event coming up. There's some amazing people that's going to come. There's going to be networking, educational piece, how to deal with somebody who have a seizure. You don't necessarily have to have epilepsy. Um, and like you said, turn the person on the left side. All that stuff is helpful. Awareness, awareness, awareness is what we do. And I want to say peace to you. Thank you so much for doing all that you do. And let's continue to grow. So if anybody see her flyer on my Facebook page, please, we ask for you to share it, share it, share it. It doesn't cost nothing to share. Okay? Share, 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 or share and come out. How about that? Or share, come out, and bring somebody.
There
you
you
know?
go. Bring somebody. Bring a friend. It's free. Like we all
It's
love that
free,
word
free,
free.
free.
Come on, free, free, free.
So yeah, it's gonna be an awesome day, and I can't wait to be a part of it. And that's it. So thank you, Miss TJ Vida. One more thing, one more thing, one more thing. I did say I wanted to do this, and let me see if I can. I was talking about your
About to throw
song.
something at me.
Yeah, because I want you to get into your song that you have. Um, Let me see. Okay, give me a second, everybody. As I saw this morning, I was like, oh, okay. This is something that we need to discuss because my girl is talented. Y'all don't know this other part about her, okay? But I do. Let's see. Do you see anything there? You don't see it?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so give me one more
Is it a song that I released already or I'm about to release?
that you're about to release.
Is it called? Okay, that means you're talking about Vengeance.
Hmm.
I think that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, you got it.
Okay. Okay, Vengeance. Yes.
Do we see it now?
Oh, yes, 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 yes. Okay.
So I see that this is coming up, and
Yes.
let's see if we can
I forgot that was even there.
really.
Oh my God. You know what's, yeah. So Vengeance is my first solo song. And
Mm,
I'm
you hear it?
actually, no, I don't hear it, but I know
Okay,
exactly.
okay.
I
Let's
don't
go
hear it.
back.
I'm not.
Still can't hear it? So what made you come up with this song here? Wow, fix everything.
Interestingly, when I first made this song, I was letting out some deep feelings over a situation I was going through at that time. But
Mm,
this is the beautiful thing about music. I am taking that song and I am remaking, not remixing, remaking. Um, when I speak of in vengeance, when I speak of I'm going to be speaking more about God. So I'm saying I'm going to give you a taste of your own medicine. What you didn't do in years, in one time he surely did, meaning the Lord.
okay.
When I made the song, I wasn't talking about God. So, um, but I don't want my first solo to be about what I've been through on a negative aspect.
Mm-hmm.
I want it to be my first solo to be more about the outcome of it, which is a positive outcome. You
Okay.
know, I went through what I went through with this song, and I'm glad I did because it's made me so much stronger.
Mm-hmm.
It's made me so much more ready for my relationship, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and being a better person, being a better mother, being a better woman, girlfriend, wife. This what took me through it, and I needed to know that I was able to get through it and be stronger and not be so dependent
Mm.
on anyone else to provide me joy.
Got it. So let
That
me
makes
let
sense.
me let me let everybody hear a little bit what you got for us.
I made you a part of my kid's life, never thinking it'd be us that you would sacrifice. You reap my benefits, yet always had the upper hand. I wore the pants, yet still called you my man. I'm gonna give you a taste of your own medicine. What you didn't do when you...
Ooh, ooh. When I heard that, I was like, ooh, I felt that. Ooh,
When
that
I
could be
said,
that could be a breakup
I wore
song.
the pants, yet still called you my man.
What?
Oh man,
What? Wow. Okay.
I'm a very deep writer. I can
Mm.
ghost write. If I were to ever not be able to sing, I would just ghost write.
Mm. That. Let me find out. That's about to be the new breakup song. Wow.
No breakup song. What's the word I'm looking for? Inspirational. The result is powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'll do a part two to that. I don't know, but I'm changing it because I want it to be more about not another man
Mm-hmm.
taking over. It's about God taking over.
Mm. Okay. There you go.
That's what I feel God has done for me. So
Amen to that. That's dope. So, TJ Vida,
thank
I
you.
kept you 10 minutes longer. I wanted to highlight you, sister. I wanted to give my time with you. I thank you so much for always being a part of We Are Phenomenal Women. I don't know. You over there doing your thing, but you still part of us too. And she be like, "Let do anything. Let
Yeah,
me
listen,
know."
let me know because I travel a lot to New York, and if I
Mhm.
know ahead of time, I will be out there and I'll speak on, my speaking on being a rape victim, is
Mhm.
something that, I commend you and it's needed. It's
Thank
needed.
you. Yeah, we all need, especially now, like so much stuff that's going on.
Mhm.
Certain people in the courtroom right now. Whew. But anyway, so we ain't gonna get on that.
That's another show for that one.
It's another one. Right. Exactly. So thank you. Enjoy
Thank
the
you.
rest
I
of your
appreciate you.
Sunday, and I'll see you soon
Yes,
at your event. Thank you. Have a good one.
absolutely.
All
Yes,
right then.
thank
Bye bye.